Donc une autre chose aussi importante, plutôt que de laisser planer l'idée qu'un enfant qui ne se conforme pas aux stéréotypes liés à son sexe pourrait être de l'autre sexe. Si on aime le rose et les paillettes, on n'est pas nécessairement une fille. Donc il faudrait travailler collectivement à créer une société où les enfants soient à l'aise de développer leur goût, leur champ d'intérêt, leurs préférences, indépendamment de leur sexe. Être fille ou garçon est une réalité biologique objective qui n'a rien à voir avec les stéréotypes de genre. Donc nous avons écrit à la Société canadienne de pédiatrie qui, durant quelques semaines, a changé son site web et nous a dit que le sexe était constaté à la naissance, c'est-à-dire la vérité. Malheureusement, les conseillers de cette même Société canadienne de pédiatrie ont eu de l'influence et on a constaté au mois de mai que le site web avait été de nouveau changé pour indiquer de nouveau que le sexe était assigné par qui, comment, on ne sait pas. Donc ça a été changé, nous les avons contactés, nous avons demandé de leur parler et ils ont refusé de nous discuter avec nous plus longuement. Je vous remercie de votre attention.
Merci Clémence Trilling de Pour le droit des enfants du Québec. Alors j'invite Chris Elston à venir prendre parole. Chris va nous parler en anglais, mais je vais faire une courte présentation en français. Alors, Chris milite depuis de nombreux mois à travers tout le Canada. Il se déplace et tente d'attirer l'opinion du public sur cette réalité-là, qui est en fait très peu connue des gens. Donc, parlez avec nous, on est des gens parlables, c'est ça, on est là pour vraiment juste ouvrir la discussion. Et en fait, aussi, c'est important de mentionner que quand Chris est venu en mars dernier à Montréal, il s'est fait attaquer et casser un bras par 7 transactivistes qui l'ont poursuivi à peu près ici même. C'est aussi pour ça qu'on a choisi de revenir au même endroit et de ne rien abdiquer. La sphère publique, il y a une manière de se tenir en société et si on se met à inclure des stratégies violentes et du harcèlement dans notre militance, ça n'a pas de sens. Ça doit être inacceptable de faire usage de telles stratégies. Alors, Chris est de retour avec nous. On a choisi de s'associer à lui puisqu'on défend le même agenda fondamentalement, qu'on y arrive par la question des droits des enfants ou qu'on y arrive par la perte de droits des femmes. On parle de la même chose. On parle d'une idéologie qui sous-tendrait certains principes, comme le fait qu'il serait possible d'être né dans le mauvais corps, ou le fait que de médicaliser notre corps fait qu'on devient l'autre sexe. Donc, nous, on a des réserves et on veut juste avoir le droit d'en parler. Alors, je prête la parole à Chris.
Merci, Valérie. Well, this is quite different than the last time I was here, getting attacked by Antifa down the street. Getting my arm broken, so I'm so thankful for my main bodyguard, Valérie Pelletier, who got everyone out here. It's nice to have numbers out, it gives us protection. So we have an epidemic going on in this country, mainly starting in our schools, and there's a huge influence from social media as well. But there's an epidemic of girls wanting to transition to be boys. It's no surprise, it's nothing new that adolescence and puberty is a difficult time for girls. But never before in the history that humans have been on this planet, the 300,000 years that we've been here, have we been encouraging girls to switch their sex. And what's going on today is we have gender ideology in schools teaching children that it is stereotypes that determine their gender. So if a girl is a tomboy, or if she likes what we consider to be traditionally more masculine things, we're now teaching these girls that they are actually boys. And we're teaching little boys who are more effeminate that they are actually girls. And when they go to the gender clinics at the children's hospitals, the doctors there, the endocrinologists, the social workers, the nurses, they don't do anything to determine what the source of this child's gender dysphoria is. They do what's called gender-affirming care, which sounds really lovely. But what it means is we simply go straight to a pharmaceutical solution to treat these kids. We are giving these children, as young as 10 years of age, sometimes even younger if they're hitting puberty younger, we're giving them a drug called Lupron. Lupron is a drug that was intended to treat prostate cancer in men. It was given approval to treat endometriosis in women, but it's being used experimentally on children because what it does is it stops puberty from occurring. So girls' breasts won't grow, their hips won't expand, boys' penises won't grow, their bones won't gain any density at all. So we have young adults, not even 30 years old, going into early onset osteoporosis. We now have a wave of young adults who are detransitioning because they were lied to when they were teens and they were rushed onto this path of medicalization, and now they have deep regrets. We are actually sterilizing children. That's what these drugs and cross-sex hormones do, because when they go to these children's hospitals, they're given this drug called Lupron, which stops puberty, but then always they go on to the very next step of this process, which is the other sex's hormones. So for girls, that's a lifetime of testosterone therapy. For boys, they're given estrogen. And this is putting girls into early menopause. We're sterilizing children. For a lot of these girls or young women, after maybe 5 years on testosterone, they even have to get their uterus removed because it causes uterine atrophy, vaginal atrophy, abdominal pain. It's done as a prophylactic to prevent them from getting cancer. And so this is child abuse on an epic scale. We have studies going back decades, primarily into boys, because gender dysphoria used to affect boys more than girls. But what we're seeing today is a 180. It's completely switched, and it's now predominantly girls who are now wanting to transition to be boys. We even have entire peer groups of girls coming out in schools saying that they're transgender. And it's no secret that puberty is a very difficult time for girls. Their bodies are going through huge changes. Maybe they don't feel they're meeting up to the beauty standards that society demands. It can be in a very uncomfortable time. And for a lot of girls, it can just be presented as an attractive option to switch out of their sex and become a boy. But we can't switch our sex. That's just the nature of life. And yes, puberty can be a very difficult time, but we need to treat these children with talk therapy. We need to give them counseling. We need to get to the source of what their dysphoria is, because with virtually all of these children, boys too, there's always some comorbidity going on. These kids have depression, they have anxiety, a lot of them have autism. At some of these gender clinics, up to 40% of the kids there have autism. We have a doctor back in British Columbia named Wallace Wong, who has stated on camera that he's transitioning personally over 1,000 children, including over 500 who are in the foster system. A lot of these kids are Indigenous. I was just in Ottawa yesterday, and there's a memorial at the Centennial Flame for all the remains of these 215 children who were found in Kamloops, British Columbia, these Indigenous kids who went to residential school. And the whole country is up in arms, upset about the abuse that these Indigenous children have received in the past, but it's occurring again, right now, today. Not just Indigenous kids, but thousands of children across this country, tens of thousands, it's going to be hundreds of thousands if we don't get this ideology out of our schools. So the government's pushing this, the schools are pushing this, all of our mainstream media, CTV, Global, CBC, they're all also pushing this agenda, so it's really hard to get at the truth. So I'm just out here having one conversation at a time, trying to spread awareness of what's happening, because our kids are in danger now when they go to public schools. So if anyone has any questions, just please come and talk to me. That's what I do. I'm trying to do this full time. I have a job, but it doesn't matter to me anymore. This is my cause in life, and I'm not going to stop. I might do this for years, so I'm going to keep doing it until we get rid of these insane laws. And one other thing I need everyone to do after we're done with today is contact your MP, because we have a really dangerous bill about to pass through the House. It's called Bill C6. And on the surface, it looks like a really good thing because it's about banning conversion therapy. And what they've done with this bill is they've conflated two separate issues. So this bill is going to make it a criminal offense to try to convert someone's sexual orientation, which pretty much everyone agrees with. We should never try to convert someone if they're gay or lesbian. But there's another component to this bill which refers to gender identity, which is a totally separate thing from sexual orientation. And what this bill is going to do is make it essentially a criminal offense for counselors to do their job by counseling these children with gender dysphoria. Because if they are deemed to be trying to convert someone's gender identity from transgender to this mythical term cisgender, they'll be facing up to 5 years in prison. Why aren't we allowed to do talk therapy with children who have a very serious condition called gender dysphoria that's wanting them to switch their sex? Why is the only approved option for these children immediate pharmaceutical treatment with an experimental drug that's being used off-label and causing irreversible damage to these children? Why is the only option to put them on the opposite sex's hormones? Why are we performing double mastectomies on 14-year-old girls without their parents' permission? this is child abuse.
Doing God's
And
work.
it's not just happening to 1 or 2 kids here and there. It's happening to kids in every high school across this country. It's happening to thousands of children, but we never hear a word about it because the media won't report on it. So thank you so much to Valerie for organizing this event today. Thank you so much for everyone for coming out. Thank you to these feminist organizations who have come out in support, because this is a multi-pronged approach we're taking here. We're hurting kids and we're hurting women's rights. So we've got to speak up, we've got to be brave, we've got to ignore these criminals that would try to silence us with violence, and we have to be smart about it and keep speaking up. So please, come and talk to me after, but please contact your MPs and tell them that we have to stop this Bill C-6 from going through, because there's been no consultation with professionals at all on it, and it's going to cause a lot of harm to kids when they have the only option by being treated at these gender clinics that just medicalize them straight away. So thank you everyone for coming out. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris. Well said. Merci à tout le monde d'être là. Donc, je vais maintenant en profiter pour partager qu'on voit que de nombreuses femmes perdent leurs emplois dans des ressources pour femmes ou des emplois normaux simplement parce qu'elles ont des vues critiques du genre sur les médias sociaux. Alors c'est mon cas, je travaille dans une grosse ressource pour femmes de Montréal et j'ai perdu ma job pour les propos que j'ai dans ma vie personnelle sur Facebook. Et mes propos sont pas plus agressifs ou de mauvaise foi que ceux que j'ai en ce moment. Donc ce que vous nous entendez dire, c'est on doit avoir le droit de parler de la médicalisation des enfants et du changement de sens du mot femme. Le changement de sens du mot homme, là, c'est pas vrai que c'est un problème. Il y a personne qui... C'est pas vrai que ça cause un problème quand des femmes décident de dire « je me sens homme ». Ça cause des problèmes dans le sens inverse, parce que les hommes sont plus forts. Les hommes ont une particularité biologique due à leur sexe qui fait que dans les compétitions sportives ou dans les risques, dans des ressources dans lesquelles on se sauve pour se protéger de la violence sexuelle masculine. Donc, comprenez, moi je suis un exemple tangible. J'actionne actuellement mon ex-employeur parce qu'il m'a fait perdre mon emploi simplement pour des propos militants que j'ai. Alors, on parle de mon droit de conscience à l'extérieur du travail. Je pense que tout a pas mal été dit. Alors, on va terminer les prises de parole avec de la musique. Pourquoi? Parce qu'on peut, puis que la vie est belle, puis qu'il fait beau. Fait que je vous remercie beaucoup d'être ici. Je vous rappelle, c'est très courageux moralement d'avoir ce discours-là et d'être ici aujourd'hui. Alors, merci à tout le monde qui s'est déplacé. Merci au mal de bras à cause que ça tient des bannières. Merci aux difficultés de trouver des stationnements dans le maudit centre-ville. Je vous souhaite à tous un bel été et s'il vous plaît, intéressez-vous à ces questions-là puisqu'elles sont actuellement votées et vous devez comprendre qu'à l'heure actuelle au Canada, il est possible de changer les mentions de sexe sur ces pièces d'identité par simple auto-identification. Ça veut dire du jour au lendemain, un homme dit « je me sens femme » et il va aller dans les ressources pour femmes et on est incapable de le refuser. Alors c'est ça qu'on vit en ce moment. Donc, même chose, c'est pas de dire que les personnes trans sont plus violentes, c'est de dire que le taux de violence rapporté chez les hommes, ça change pas parce que tout à coup c'est un homme qui dit se sentir femme. Donc, c'est ça notre préoccupation, c'est que les femmes méritent des droits sexuels spécifiques. Ah oui, écrivez à vos députés. Intéressez-vous à ces sujets-là. Il y a plusieurs personnes en ligne qui militent, donc c'est facile de faire de la recherche pour trouver des opinions qui viennent contrecarrer l'idéologie de genre. Alors nous, on se qualifie de personnes critiques de l'idéologie de genre et on pense que c'est important d'avoir cette discussion de société-là. Donc merci beaucoup. On va faire des petits tests là.
Yeah, they defend the men. But they actually go on this public TV and they talk to women, and nobody can say anything because it's fake. So it's a betrayal of the other. Now we have a government.
They paved paradise, put up a parking lot with a pink hotel, a boutique, and a swinging hot spot. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. They took all the trees, put them in a tree museum, and they charged the people $1.5 times just to see them. Don't it always always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone. They paved paradise and put up a parking lot. Hey, from the farm, put away that DDT now. You give me spots on my elbows, to leave me the birds and the bees. The bees. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone. They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. Late last night, I heard the screen door slam, and a big yellow taxi took away my old man. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone. They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone. They paved paradise and put up a parking lot. Paved paradise and put up a parking lot. Paved paradise and put up a parking lot.